So the inputs for this prioritization, that context, I think we pretty much discussed this at length during the estimation. So it's the same. So in terms of prioritization, your requirements are going to be the important input. Your schedule or date of delivery, effort in person months. Again, all of these are coming in from the estimates, from the skills of persons involved, defects or errors, what are the kind of potential defects that you have, all of those. Again, if something new defect, a showstopper comes in, for example, do you think you can wait for February to release? No, you would need to keep that aside, and then you would start to prioritize the defects, because it is very important and urgent as well that you fix this defect, because 10 customers have talked about it. There was an outage of service. It's like what happened yesterday with the power outage in Mumbai in India, where they had to it automatically, in fact, it was the whole of the city came to standstill. The local trains which run on the electricity, they were stopped as well because of the outage of power. So that was a major showstopper. That's a big jolt to everybody, and all the resources in the power department would be working focused on resolving this, making sure that they restore the power. That's the first and foremost thing. That's the issue that they're going to address. So that's the priority for them. It's not about a fantastic website for the consumers to pay the bills, electricity bills and all that. That will all wait. They'll all wait for that kind of a project to put on kind of hold just in the time they fix this defect, right? So this, again, it's all about prioritization. If something really big, something really wrong happens, incorrect, something that kind of brings the whole online shop to a standstill, something that pulls it down, then obviously you need to make sure that you attend to that. And again, staffing plan in terms of how many people you need, what kind of skill sets you need, architects, developers, which languages, what kind of methodology that you would need to adapt. Is it agile, waterfall? Again, prioritization comes into picture there. So customer involvement, how involved the customers? Do you get to actually speak to them every day? Can we actually ask them questions? Or if they're not available, for example, if they're not available so often, they can only give you like 1 day in a month. So what you do, you prioritize that as the most important thing. You say to the BAs and the technical architect and the technical lead, you tell them, you know what, just go to the customer site, spend a day with the customer. Then it doesn't matter how much it costs or whatever it is. Spend a day with the customer because he's only available 1 day in a month. Spend a day, talk to them, make sure you get all the requirements, make sure you get all the expectations clearly from them, get a sign off, discuss everything, show your designs, your wireframes, your rough mock-ups, your architecture, show to them, then and there, get the sign off and come back. And then we'll work on that. And again, show the next, maybe in about 15 days, you can just get another half an hour of their time, we show that, right? So you're prioritizing your own work around the availability and the involvement of the customer. And cost and budget, again, very important. We talked about it in the estimation. And tools used, all of these, again, what kind of tools we have got, what kind of the environment, the technology stack. Depending on that, you will prioritize. If something is not available, if you do not have the cloud infrastructure ready, you want to go cloud, you want to actually use one of the GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, or the Azure from Microsoft, or AWS from Amazon. You want to use them, but then the point is you do not have the expertise in-house. You do not have the cloud infrastructure yet. So why don't we just have something on the desktop, install it on the local desktops of the team, make it available, 10 of them. That's okay. We can wait. We can get something sorted. This is the important thing. Get the work done right now. Do not wait for 3 months to do the stuff, to do the actual pieces of work. So you get something up, you actually get it up and running, have the software installed on the desktops physically by the IT support team. And then after 3 months, you can actually have the whole thing available on the cloud, spin a virtual machine, and it gets provisioned quick. But we can wait for that. So it all depends on the prioritization here, really depends on the tools that are available. So those are the inputs that you would need to make your decision about the prioritization. And similarly, you need to also understand what comes out of the other side of the pipeline, what is on the other side of the tunnel. So you have the vision or the mission statement from the business point of view. Again, they know what is important for them as a business. You need to be profitable in the next 5 years. That could be the very old one. So in the new times, what is important is to actually be profitable in the next 3 months, to actually, or at least break even in the next 3 months, because the business has been going down under thanks to the pandemic that we have. So the vision of the company has changed, the mission has changed, and perhaps even the direction in which it is going is also changed. And the business case, what is the business case that you're making? So you're actually trying to make a business case for a new technology, a new project, or for a new set of team to be installed, a new product that you need to buy from outside. You're making a business case. What are the costs? What are the benefits? So you're trying to actually kind of prioritize this again based on the kind of outlook the company has, the cost, the budgets that you have. So you create a business case for that. Again, prioritization comes in. Creating the product roadmap. We created the roadmap for this e-commerce website, the example that we have been working on, right? So e-commerce website for selling mobile accessories. Again, the roadmap is clear that we have got. So you say that by November, I'll have the catalog. By February, I'll have the shopping cart. By April, this is roadmap. By April, I'll have the payment through credit card, so on and so forth, right? This is the release plan. This is actually the whole roadmap for this product. And product backlog is the detailing that goes into each of these. So if you want to go for a catalog, show item details, show item image, show description, show title, show two-dimensional image of this item, show 360-degree view of item. So these are the individual things that go into the backlog for that particular release plan. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about backlog when we actually get into the next session, next slide tomorrow. We're going to talk about the specifics of how the backlog can get broken down from the product through to the release and then to the sprint backlog. And the testing strategy, very important again. What do you test? Do you test the unit code? Do you do the unit testing first, obviously, before you actually go to the integration testing, and then finally you actually deliver the whole product? So you need to do the unit testing, the module testing, system testing, automation testing in terms of performance, how it's performing, the load testing, and finally the overall integration testing, how it is working with other products. The architecture, what kind of architecture we have got. So we're going to actually say, as we discussed yesterday, it could be multi-tier architecture, it could be three-tier architecture, it could be two-tier client-server architecture. What is involved? What are the blocks? How the components within the architecture interact? What are the kind of interfaces? All of those decisions again. Development plan, clearly laying down the development plan. What gets developed when? What are the interfaces? What classes would you use? All of these. The deployment strategy in terms of what would get deployed onto the server. How many servers do we have to have? We have to have at least, let's say, deployment strategy could be, I need to have a production environment, which is actually kind of a box available for the customers. Only they can get to use, they can get to see it's a live server. I need to have a test server where I can test it. And then I need to have a development server where the developers could actually chuck their code. They can actually use that as an intermediate one. So I'm having, let's say, 3 environments at least. Development environment where I develop, where I get to experiments, like a lab where I get everything, doesn't need to be tested, doesn't need to be shown to the end users. And then once it has got taken some stage, I would then use the branch of this to get a code to get into the test environment. Then again, I do the testing. That's where the testers would come in. They will do the testing on this, whatever has been built, that has been deployed on the test environment. And then if they're happy, they'll fix it, they'll send it, or if they're not, they'll actually go back to the developers, we'll fix the bugs, and then they'll push it onto the production. Whatever is working fine, absolutely fine. That's the build that is supposed to be having minimal defects. Obviously, we can't make 0 defects, but at least the fewer defects on the live environment, the better, because it is being used by the end customers or users. So this again is all part of the decisions and the prioritization you take with respect to the deployment. The vendor list, who should be the vendors, who should be part of that. The prioritization again kicks in. Are we going to work with big houses like Microsoft House or open source house or Java or Oracle House? Now it's Oracle which has taken over Java. Or should we stick to the open source PHP, MySQL, Apache, and Linux kind of a thing? Or so what is your strategy? And then from there on, from the vendor, once we decide the overall strategy, technology, platforms, and then we can decide on the vendors that we will work with more closely. If it is Microsoft, it's going to be for example, they've got some of the consultants and the partners of Microsoft who work on their behalf. So we'll work with them as vendors, we'll engage them, blah, blah, blah. And then the technology stack, again, what kind of technology stack you're talking about, right? On the front end, on the middleware, and on the back end, the database. If it is LAMP, as what we call open source, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, LAMP. Again, it's the complete end-to-end back to end, back to front, or rather it's front to back. Yeah, Linux is on the back end. Linux is on the operating system. MySQL is the back end. Apache suite is basically the web server, and then P is PHP, which is on the front end, and also the coding for the middleware. So you've got that whole stack. LAMP as what we call for the open source. If it's Microsoft.NET, then you've got Visual Studio.NET, C# is a language, you've got other things that are associated with that. And if it is Java, then it is a different thing. If you've got some other open source, you've got a different set of tools and technologies for these stacks. So that's again a set of output of prioritization.